Hi. So some people asked me if I would do a video with just some information on what I use to listen to music in my home. So I thought, why not? It's a question that I didn't really answer because I didn't really think it was related to anything that I talk about on the channel. But more and more people have been asking, and since I've been asked this question at least 10 times, I thought I'd do a video on it. So obviously, this is the recording setup. This has nothing. I have to turn the camera around so that you can see what I use for music. You can see a little bit of what I use for music on the walls there. So a lot of people have asked, what is the purpose of these panels? So I thought, let me see if I can do a little bit of a demonstration. So I'm going to take the microphone. What these are, sorry, Blackberry, just got to move the microphone. All right, so let's say I yell. This is me yelling at the wall. This is me yelling into the panel. Yelling at the wall. Yelling at the panel. Yelling at the wall. Yelling at the panel. So that is pretty much, why am I yelling into this? So that's pretty much what those panels do, is they're there to absorb sound. They're not there to keep the sound from getting into the next apartment. The panels are there to absorb the sound so it doesn't reflect back. So those panels are made of wood, so it's a wooden frame. Inside, then I took the wooden frame and I put, somebody else that I bought the shit for, some friends were helping me build these panels about 5 or 6 years ago. It's a nice way of helping me out. It was Jake and Dino. Thank you very much if you're watching this, by the way. They helped me build these. So it's burlap. So the burlap was put over the wooden frame. And then I got this Owens Corning 703 fiberglass. And I took the Corning 703 fiberglass, and by I mean other people that helped me. Thank you. They put it into the burlap. Then burlap was then wrapped around that so that it wouldn't fall out. So you get something that looks like this. Here's one that's not screwed into the wall because the cat's knocked it down. You can see here's the bracket and all that. So this is the burlap. You got the wooden frame. And then there's this is a burlap put inside of it so that, see, the Corning fiberglass can't fall down. And yeah, my cat actually managed to rip that off of the wall. And it was anchored in there pretty good too. So that's what those do. Now they're there to prevent early reflection. So the whole idea here is that the sound from the speaker, ideally you would hear the sound directly from the speaker. But what most people hear is not the sound that's coming directly from the speaker. They hear the sound that came from the speaker plus the sound that came off of their wall. So you have the sounds that came from let me just turn this around just to make it a little easier. You can see and get an idea what I'm talking about. Take my camera. How long is this HDMI camera? Alright, forgive me for a minute. I know. Why don't you edit your videos? I'm a lazy fucking prick, that's why. I hate editing. Oh, I hate editing. So we're going to take this, move it over. You probably can't see shit. Let me see if I turn the light on. You can't see shit because I also didn't plug the damn cable back in. Alright, so let me just give you an idea. I probably should move the microphone over, but let's take my microphone and move it over here. Alright. So, the idea is that me sitting over there, I should hear the sound directly from the speaker, right? But here's what winds up happening. I hear the sound from the speaker plus the reflection. So the sound from the speaker is coming out, but it's also going here, here, here. So the sound from the speaker is going to come out like this, right? It's going to come out and hit the wall. And then after it hits the wall, it's going to bounce and then hit there. So I'm not just going to hear the sound that's coming directly from my speaker. What happens is you also wound up Yeah, I guess you can't see most of me. Who cares? You don't wind up just hearing the sound from the speaker. You wind up hearing the sound from the speaker plus the crap that reflected off of the wall. So let's say that that's called an early reflection. Let's say that the sound that comes from the speaker is going to bounce off the wall, and it takes maybe 5 milliseconds for the sound to get from here to here. I don't know exactly what the timing is, so don't troll me there. Let's say, just for argument's sake to get the point across, let's say it takes 5 milliseconds for the sound to get from here to here. Now, after that, it's going to bounce off and go to my ear. So I'm not just hearing the sound from the speaker, I'm hearing the sound from the speaker plus the sound from the speaker after it bounced off the wall 5 milliseconds later. And you have all these reflections that go on in your home, and that winds up being the sound of your speaker. So, and as you can see, I also use the TV to tell what I'm listening to. So you don't just wind up hearing the sound of your system, you wind up hearing the sound of your system plus the room that you're in. And what that winds up doing is it winds up sounding like cock and balls. It sounds like shit, and that's not what good sound is made of. And one of the things that absolutely drives me nuts about audiophiles and the term audiophile, and when people talk about all that kind of crap, about can you hear a difference between a Krell and a Bryston? Will you hear the difference between the Vandersteen Model 5 and Model 7? And will you hear the difference between these gold speaker cables and lamp cord and all that horseshit? Is that nobody ever thinks about the fucking room. You have all these people that have these $200,000, $300,000, $500,000 stereo systems or $50,000 stereo systems in the stock room. And I don't understand that one bit. I really don't, because I would rather have $400 speakers with a little piece of shit NAD 3020 coming out of my phone's digital to analog converter than I would have that $50,000 speaker system in an untreated room. Because it doesn't matter how accurate your speaker system is, you are going to hear you trust me, you're going to hear the out of the phase fuck-ups from hearing your music once and then hearing it again 5 milliseconds later. You can hear that far more than you can hear the cables and the amp and any of that shit. So that's the reason that I started this conversation with a discussion on acoustic treatment. Now, even with the acoustic treatment that I have here, this is still a lively room. It's not dead. I didn't want it to be dead because I don't like the sound of dead when it comes to playback, and I'm also cheap. And I actually had these made for a different apartment that was much smaller, and I didn't feel like having more made up. So that's why it still sounds reverberant when the microphone is over here and I'm over here. It's not totally dead. You could make it totally dead by getting rid of all the gaps. So for example, here there's no panel. Here there's no panel. Here there's no panel. It's not totally covered. So if you look around the space here, if I give you a little bit of a tour, and it's not this dark, it's just film dark because I don't have lighting here. So I have that's the TV. That is a subwoofer that I don't use other than a monitor stand because I have to fix the crossover. And as I've talked about, anytime I have to fix something, it winds up not getting done. It's actually being used as a cat bed. So let me see if I can show you that. Over here. All right. See where that cat is sitting? See where the little kitty is sitting down? Not Blackberry, but the cat behind him? See that? He's using my subwoofer crossover as a bed. That's what happens to my stuff. That's what happens to all my stuff that I'm supposed to fix. So that subwoofer isn't actually being used. These are Vandersteen Model 3A signature speakers. They go down below 30 hertz very well. They have very good bass response, so I don't really miss out on anything by not having the sub plugged in. I don't really use it for anything. The corner over, you may wonder why the wires look like that. It's because I don't have ties, and I tried making the wires neat. I put honest effort into making the wires neat, and what happens when you make the wires neat and you don't have twist ties, and you have kittens, like this kitten over here, Blackberry. Yes, you know I'm talking about you. What they do is they run over to where your wires are and they fuck everything up and they destroy it and they take SATA cables out of your drawers and they bring them on the floor. And it's cat ownership. The cat loves that corner because when I play music, the amp gets warm, which means they like to sit on it. And anything that the cat likes to sit on is something the cat's gonna fuck up. So let's go over some of and also you may see a DisplayPort cable for the Siki. I actually went out of my way to buy a good DisplayPort cable so that I wouldn't have a really short cable going between the TV and the computer that's behind the panel. And the reason that's being used is because the cable that I bought that says it supports 4K did not support 4K and didn't fucking work. And the right thing to do would have been to return it and buy a new one, and what I did, because I'm always out of time, is just leave that one there. Oh well, not like I give a shit. So anyway, in the corner you have a digital to analog converter. So that's the box sitting up there. And this is made by Ross Martin Audio. The reason I bought that digital to analog converter is because I feel like he's doing something very similar to what I used to do as a teenager. So when I was a teenager, I would run this scam where what I would do is I would ask Texas Instruments for a sample board because I wanted to create this great new circuit, and I wanted to test out the digital to analog converters. And here's something you should know about these companies, is that if you have a sample circuit idea, they'll often send you a sample board so that you could try it out, and they'll let you have it for like $100 or something. And this is hardware that would usually cost $200 or $500 or $1,000. So I would get the top of the line, best new generation digital to analog converter for like $100. I'd wire up a fucking power supply to it. You could actually see there's a power supply to the left over there. It's a Power 1 linear. But come on, focus. Focus, you fuck. There we go. See the little metal box right behind the power strip? That's from my old digital to analog converter, which was one of those designs. And what I did is I would buy a power supply, I would link it to the digital to analog converter, and when you buy receivers and you buy digital to analog converters, you're always buying last year's technology or 5 years ago technology. But when you buy directly from the manufacturer, when you buy like those designs from Texas Instruments, you're getting what they designed a month ago right now, and you're getting it for dirt cheap. So you can buy a digital to analog converter for something like $50 to $100, then you buy a $35 Power 1 linear off eBay, and you have a digital to analog converter for like $100-something that beats the living shit out of all that crap, that audiophile shit that they sell for $1,000. Anyway, so mine finally shit the bed, and as with one of my rules is with my own personal things, is that I don't repair my own personal things. If I have to spend 8 or 12 or 15 hours a day teaching other people how to fix things and fixing stuff for money, when I get home I give myself the luxury of not having to deal with that crap. And he does something very similar. He finds these really good boards, and I think this is a PCM, I don't know if it's 1716 or 1796. I honestly don't know because I bought it a long time ago. It sounds fucking amazing, and you can buy that shit dirt cheap compared to what you'll spend anywhere else. So that's a good digital to analog converter that's hooked up to my computer. Under it, you'll see a Rotel RB1090 amplifier, which for the volume that I listen to music is really not necessary. It's very clean. It's a very clean sounding amplifier. I like it. I like things that sound neutral. I like things that just work. It never distorts. I got to pick that up for a good price about 7 years ago. And it's really good at powering low impedance speakers. So the speakers that I have at work are the TLCS 3.6. When it gets to bass, the impedance drops a lot. And if you play something taxing through like an amplifier or a receiver that you bought at Best Buy in those speakers, it all starts to go to shit really quickly. But that amp just handles it like a charm. But yeah, the most important part of the system is always going to be the speakers and the room. The speakers in the room are what make the system. So I use this, these are the Vandersteen Model 3A signature speakers. I got these at a pretty good price. So originally, excuse me, originally I had gotten the, hey, that's not me. Where's me? Ah, here we go. Camera. Yeah, originally, I had gotten with Vandersteen. I had bought the Model 2CE. I got them for like $400 from Craigslist. It was actually, I still remember, it was this guy who was incredibly nerdy. Like this just incredibly nerdy, awkward-looking dude that had come in to pick up stuff when one of the studios that I worked at closed. It was this really odd fellow. And I remember him. His name was Mr. Carrington. And he came to pick up some stuff. And we were just kind of laughing because he was picking up all this stuff that was virtually worthless. And we were just wondering, why do you think this stuff is worth any money? I mean, he was taking stuff like a patch panel, just really, I don't know, just stuff that was, I can't remember because it was a really long time ago. I just remember it was really worthless stuff. He was he acted funny, he was all awkward. And then I go to pick up these Vandersteen 2CE speakers, which were amazing for $400. That's insane. And I go to his apartment to pick him up. I didn't know it was the same guy. I meet him. It's the same guy. He's well dressed. He's got like 2 or 3 women dancing around this brownstone that he owns. He owns the entire thing. He has every floor. It's set up beautifully. He has these Lansing and Uri and Wharfdale and Vandersteen speakers in every single room of the place playing music. And it's like, don't judge a book by its cover. Anyway, But I got these really great $400 speakers, and then eventually they got fucked up by the cat, and I moved on to these ones. So these are really cool. They're very, very linear in frequency response, very flat frequency response. And one of the really cool things about this that I'll show you on the screen is that these speakers are not only phase coherent, as so they have a first order crossover and all the drivers are aligned so that the sound from each driver gets to you at the same time, but also they have the thing that makes these really cool is that they have no real body. So the whole idea with early reflections that I talked about, again, you're going to not just hear the sound from the speaker, you're going to hear the sound from the speaker as it bounces off the wall and goes to you, and that's why a lot of regular rooms sound like crap. The problem is that you're also going to have that same type of shit go on inside the speaker itself. So think about it this way. You have the speaker, and then you give the body. Now, the speaker's going to move out. You're going to hear that, but then it also moves back in. And when it moves back in, it's going to make noise inside the cabinet. Now, you could do everything that you want to try to minimize that with, with dampening and everything inside, but one of the best ways to do that is to simply not have a cabinet. And this is virtually hollow. There's nothing. This is just a sock that's sitting around the entire speaker. The speaker has just enough space to house the drivers. You have the driver, and then a like foam crap, sound absorption crap behind it, but the cabinet itself is very, very tiny. There's no baffle over here at all. So usually when the speaker is making sound out towards you again, the sound is going to bounce off the baffle. So let's say this is the driver over here, right? And this is the driver moving back and forth. Well, it's also going to have some sound go, it's going to have sound go this way, this way. The sound that's coming out this way is going to hit the baffle and then bounce back towards you. So you're not just going to hear the sound from the driver, you're going to hear the sound from the driver plus its reflections off of the speaker itself. But if you don't have a baffle, then you get rid of those reflections. And I believe that a lot of the crap in audio comes from bad sounding reflections, whether it's from the speaker itself or from the room in general. So what I've done here is I've tried to set it up so that I have a minimum amount of those early reflections. So you can see I have panels all over here. I have panels over there. I have a bass trap in the corner. That's a panel over there. That's a panel. That's a condom, which I'm probably going to, pack of condoms, which I'm probably going to forget to edit out, which I really should edit out. That's more panels over there. And then up here on the ceiling, I have a panel there, a panel there, panel there, panel there. So I have, and also that's a smoke alarm that I really should plug back in, but I did the New York thing, which is to unplug it when it starts bitching at you rather than actually fix it, which I should do so I don't wind up dying. But yeah, that's pretty much my audio setup. And I guess I could show you some of the pictures of what those speakers actually look like when you let's put the camera back where it's supposed to be. Okay. It's me and BlackBerry. All right, that's the camera. And now I can show you what the speaker looks like on the inside. Microphone here. I know that the right thing to do would be to edit these videos, but I don't know. I just hate editing. I don't want to just waste time on it anymore. It's one of those things where I know I wouldn't do the actual video if I knew that I had to sit through it and watch the entire thing again. So let's see what I can get on the screen here. New window. I'm using a computer like grade A's grandpa. Okay. Yeah, so here's what these look like on the inside. See, no baffle at all. There's a speaker, but there's nothing around it. And there's the mid-range driver, and there's nothing around it. The tweeter, and there's nothing around it. So what you're hearing is the sound directly from the speaker. You're not hearing any of the crap coming from around it, and in my room, you're also avoiding a lot of the noise that's going to come from, from the side reflections. Again, I didn't get rid of every reflection. I didn't dampen the floor. I didn't dampen the space behind me. So I only dampened the immediate area around the speakers, so the space behind me is still reflective. And I didn't make it fully dead, but I did it enough so that it would sound better than it did before. Again, this apartment is one room. This room is about 75 feet long. Has about 15 feet ceilings over here, and then it slowly slopes, so it goes to like 18 or 20 feet in the back. It would be pretty hard to make it totally dead, and it's just not something I want to put the effort in to do. But that's my sound. That's my setup for audio and listening at home. I love listening to music. I love listening to all different types of music, and I like listening to it on a nice system. I will never. You won't catch me dead with these little shitty mono clock radio looking Bluetooth speakers or any crap like that. I am cheap. I don't spend money on. There are many things I don't spend money on, but when it comes to music, again, I like my idiomatic headphones. I like my Vandersteen speakers at home with my panels, and I like my teal speakers at my office with the acoustic panels. Does my office look silly with acoustic panels? Yes. Would my office be more spacious and more efficient if I didn't have huge towering speakers in the way and panels on the walls? Absolutely. Would it be more efficient? Yes. Would it look more professional? Probably. Do I give two shits of a fuck? No. I work 8 to 12 hours a day. I'm the business owner. I get to do things the way that I want. That's one of the really cool parts about America. Is that again, if you do the work that you need to do and you get everything done the way you want to, then you can live your life the way you want to. And it doesn't really matter if you have ridiculous towering speakers in your office. You have the right to enjoy it, as I do. And it is really cool to have good sounding audio at work and just be able to listen to a concert when I get home on really nice speakers. And the thing that I want to get across here is you don't have to be rich for any of this. Again, like Vandersteen 2CE speakers are better than what 99% of the population has probably had the chance to listen to. And I got mine for $400. You can power that off of an NAD 3020 that you find on eBay for $40. There's so much cheap. And I'm talking about like top Vandersteen 2CEs are like top quality shit. Like you compare that to what's in Best Buy and it just craps all over that garbage from all those companies in Best Buy. And if you can't afford that, you can buy cheaper. You can buy used Axiom Audio or Ascend speakers, or even just use the speakers that you have and find ways to make this. Everybody thinks that Auralex foam crap is so expensive and I can't afford to do that. Do what I did. Like buy burlap, find wood, nails, and Corning fiberglass and shove it together and just put it around. Or if you're somebody that really cares about the way things look and you don't want stuff to look like shit, hey, you don't have to have a cat. Or maybe you can have a cat like mine, but you can put claw covers on the cat so it doesn't scratch the walls. I didn't get my cat declawed because after I figured out that declawing is not just about getting rid of the claw, that it's kind of like getting rid of a knuckle. I couldn't do that to her. I felt, as much as she drives me crazy, she's my Blackberry, and I'm not going to deknuckle her. But you could have an animal that listens to you, like a dog, or you can make them out of a different material, or you could just not let them into your music room. You can get nicer looking fabric. Again, you don't have to use crappily cut wood and shit burlap. There's other fabrics that you can use. But acoustic treatment is going to make a really big difference in the sound of your system. If you're investing more than $200 into a sound system and you don't put money into acoustic treatment, in my opinion, you're wasting your money. It doesn't matter how good your speaker is if you're hearing the sound of the speaker plus the sounds of all the garbage in the room around it. Like once you've spent $400 or $600 on speakers, you've spent enough that you probably should put some money into what the actual room sounds like. When I see people debating like $2,000 speaker cable versus lamp cord and all this other shit, I cringe because everybody debating that crap, it's always the same thing. They have a room that sounds like shit that they put no effort into. Fuck the differences in DACs and amps and cables and all that. Put money into what's actually going to be different, which is the room. That's that, and as always, I hope you learned something.